Hey everyone, welcome back to Reading with Tatiana. Today I'm reviewing Colton'S Terrible Wonderful Year by Vincent Meis. And before I go into my full book review, I would like to thank Natasha at bibliophile.net and Vincent Meis at Vincent Meis Offer. Those are both their Instagram handles, as they both reached out to me on my Instagram account at reading.with.tatiana to give me an advanced reader copy of his book, this book that's coming out March 4th, to give a honest review. So I'll put both their Instagrams below if you want to check them out. And if you want to check out my Instagram, again, it's at reading.with.tatiana. I don't post that often, to be honest. I mostly just post on Booktube, but if you all follow me there, I would appreciate it. And for this book, Colton'S Terrible Wonderful Year, I gave this book overall, my honest review, a 4 out of 5. My Booktuber shout today goes out to Sweet Tea Reads. She's been on Booktube for 3 years and has been pretty consistent. I came across her channel because I was looking at like Booktube 2023 goals from various creators, and one thing that from her video that resonated with me was the idea of batch filming and filming in batches instead of filming as you go, because I think if you want to be a consistent YouTuber, it makes sense because sometimes life happens and you're not able to film and upload all the time. So if you're able to batch film like a tag, a review, a TBR, a haul, anything, and then just schedule it ahead of time, that would really help. So I'll link her channel Sweet Tea Reads down below if you want to give her some support or check out her Booktube content. And as always, before I go into my full book review, if you're watching this video, I'll always appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have read this book or any of the other Vincent's books, please comment down below. As I got an advanced copy of this book is published in 2023 and it is due to be for public consumption on March 4th in a few days, so that's super exciting. This genre is fiction based, but I would say it's based in reality because the backdrop of the story is during the COVID pandemic in the US. And is there a genre called present historical fiction? Because if you read this book, I think like later it'd be called historical fiction, but it's like present day, so I would call it like present historical fiction. And Vincent is also known for focusing on LGBTQ stories and queer stories, so that would be another genre I would put this book in. Oh, and also this book is also YA, young adults fiction. Vincent Meis is an American writer. He was born in Illinois. He graduated from Tulane University in New Orleans. He, at the moment, has 9 published works, and he has traveled extensively, and as a result of his travels all over the world and his time abroad, he's published a number of pieces, mostly travel-based articles, and also a few poems and book reviews. And he's been published in like The Advocate, LA Weekly, In Style, and Our World, and he's been active throughout the 1980s and also the 1990s. Most of his works, his 9 published works, he's kind of most known for his coming of age, his queer LGBTQ contemporary literature. I don't know if all his books are young adults based, but this one is definitely for young adults, which I think is really great because, like growing up, I felt I was raised in a very heteronormative world. So I think it's really great to have these young adults works to be available for people who are coming of age, trying to figure things out, and to have, to be exposed to other ways of living and lifestyles. A bit about the story and the characters. To be honest, I won't get into all of it just because this book, even though it's a young adult's novel, covers so many topics and so many, I guess, like different characters and people you can be exposed to. But basically, the protagonist is the title of the book, Colton. He is 14 years old and he is a surrogate baby. He is half black, and his dad is, well, he has 2 dads and live in San Francisco. So one of his dads is called Dad, and he is white or Jewish, and then his other dad is called Poppy, and he is Latino. And we know that Colton is half black because the surrogate mother was a friend of one of the dads in university, and the mom is black. And they did one of those like cocktails where you put like both sperm into, I guess, a cocktail, so the baby could be either Dad, who's white, or Poppy, Latino. And then so basically the story starts with Colton. He's like 14 years old, he's in school, and he actually is with his 2 friends, Fur and Josh. Fur is Latino, Josh is white, and they kind of shoplift and get caught. And this is Colton's first experience with what it means to be black, because when him and his two friends shoplift, there was a white guy, a Latino guy, and Colton being black or passing as black. It's very obvious how the adults react to the situation and the security. So Colton, I think at the age of 14, is starting to realize what it means to be black in society in America and how that can impact him. And then the next thing that happens in the story is Colton and his two dads go to Thailand and they meet a other family from the UK. And then this family is also half black and half white. Like the mom is black and the dad is white, and the kids are mixed. And one of the kids in this family, Olivia, is around the same age as Colton. And then now we reach this other part of Colton's come of age where he has like his first girlfriend. And then when the two families are done their trip in Thailand, Colton and his dads come back to San Francisco. And then it's right at the brink, at the start of the COVID pandemic in the US. So this is kind of set during March 2020. Thailand was December 2019, and then they came back, and then it's kind of like the start of COVID during the early months of 2020. And then during this time, there's also Black Lives Matter, and Colton gets involved in this movement. And yeah, basically, like the backdrop is those few years of COVID and Black Lives Matter in the US, and also Colton navigating all these things happening at the age of 14. And there's just so many different things that he comes across, and it's told from his perspective. So it's very interesting because you can really feel like he's observing stuff happening around him, and so in a way he's not objective, so we only interpret things from his view. So we're not really sure exactly what's happening all the time, but there's context clues, right? Because you and me, like, we're adults and we see this stuff on the news. So it's very interesting to see it all from Colton's experience, and it's just a great coming of age story and navigating society. Common themes in this book, as I said, there's a lot, and I think Vincent does a great job pushing a lot of different topics and issues. The biggest one for me that really stuck with me is because Colton, because of his immediate family, how it's so diverse, having dads from two different ethnicities, and him being half black, and also being exposed to his extended family who are like half white, half Latino, and then them meeting a British family as well. Like, this book really talks about accepting people from different backgrounds, and also accepting that these people will make choices that you won't make, and you have to kind of live and cohabitate this society together. And like, it's so easy to just surround people around you that think exactly like you, but that's not realistic, or nor is it healthy, right? So I think Vincent does a really good job using Colton as a protagonist to navigate that. And lead into that, the second common theme is the idea of empathy, and just really understanding why people are the way they are and why they make certain choices or actions in life. I also love how the book talks a lot about Colton being raised by two dads, and how society reacts to that. Either they overreact to it or they actually don't react to it, because we live in 2023, or in this book 2020, so it's not a big deal. And I really love how the author Vincent does a really good job with Colton asking so many questions, because he's 14. There may be questions that will be like weird or maybe inappropriate to ask, but it doesn't matter because his dads are very good at navigating it and not suppressing his curiosity, and answering honestly or helping him navigate those tough conversations or curiosities. Of course, there's always things I didn't like about this book. I did give it a 4 out of 5. So for me, one thing I did enjoy about this book is I felt like I didn't like the writing style. I do recognize that it's coming from Colton's point of view, who's 14 years old, so maybe that's why I'm not a 14-year-old boy. And I just find it kind of choppy, and like, something be happening and he get like a boner, or like he get horny, which I recognize is probably realistic for a 14-year-old. So I feel this book is probably great for a preteen or a teenage boy to read, because they could probably relate to it. But for me, the writing was kind of choppy. And another thing I didn't like was, as much as I appreciate Vincent putting so many different themes and common social issues in this book, it felt really stacked, and I felt like this book, because it's a young adult's book, was a bit too short to flesh out all these ideas. And I did feel at some points Vincent just kept throwing things because it was topical during the times of COVID and the BLM movement. Things I did enjoy about book, I kind of touch about on the common theme section, is I really enjoy the diversity in this book and how Colton in his immediate community has exposed to so many different walks of life, and how we see Colton's dad having such great empathy and teaching him how to navigate this world, because I think sometimes as parents it can be really easy to just tell your kids like because it said so or that's just the way it is. But the dads did a really good job explaining situations and trying to explain to Colton why things are the way they are instead of just saying so. I also love how this book is topical because COVID just happened, and I'm very fortunate that I feel that COVID happened to me during my 30s and my adulthood when I had a very routine life. But it is crazy to think about how if you were a student or a young person during COVID, how it really impacted your upbringing and also like these milestones that you normally experience during COVID, like prom or school or like basketball teams. So I really like that perspective of the impact of COVID that I didn't get in my personal life. On Goodreads, this book on an average of 4 out of 5, just like me. I do want to say that this book hasn't been published yet. It's published on March 4th. So everyone that's reviewed this was given an advanced reader copy. Everyone was giving honest reviews, but I just want to say, as you watch my other reviews, that this book has only 19 reviews overall, so it could change quite a bit in a year, 2 years, 10 years. So people that didn't like it was kind of same as me. They thought that too much was happening in such a short book. They thought that Vincent was just stacking issue over issue over issue, and also people didn't enjoy the writing style. I do want to say that in Goodreads, mostly people that post on this are probably like adults, whereas this book, I think the target audience is probably people who are younger and who may not actually post the reviews on Goodreads. So it'd be interesting to see how this book is received at like a school, for example. People good reviews is they really enjoyed the perspective from Colton, who is a young black boy. They love the intricacy of all the interpersonal relationships, and people thought that it'd be a really good book for a young person who feels like they're struggling or maybe don't have like a mainstream heteronormative upbringing, and they can see parallels in their life in this book. Why I think you should read this book. I think you should read it if you want to learn more about a perspective of a young black boy in America, especially during COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement. For me, it was a very different perspective that I wouldn't get otherwise. Now I'll share how this book made me feel, because I always ask people if they recommend a book to me is share with me how it made them feel. Because if you ask me a week, a year, 5 years from now, I probably won't remember exactly what happened in this book, but I'll also remember how it made me feel when I finished it. So this book, Colton's Terrible Wonderful Year, it made me feel grateful. It made me feel grateful that we live in a society that we can publish these works and they can be consumed, and these different lifestyles can be shared. I know obviously books are banned in the US and Canada and all over the world, but I'm just grateful that this book can be published just so we can have a different perspective. Thank you for watching until the end of my book review for Colton's Terrible Wonderful Year by Vincent Meis. This book is going to be published on March 4th if you want to get your hands on a copy to read this book. And if you want to join me next time, I'm reading Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Pelt. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!